bordering into Manitoba. We've seen a lot of action already. It's been a pretty wild Friday across the west. But you can see that there's an area of low pressure that is about to dump a whole lot of rain in places like Winnipeg. It's starting to dissipate a little bit, but it's rather unsettled, and it's over a fairly broad area as well. So this is the culprit. There's the cold front. All of this moisture is moving northward. Many people have already seen that heavy rain come down. And then across into Alberta, the trough bringing some showers, thunderstorms as well. So it's going to stay unstable for the next couple of days. It was anything more than EF0, just by looking at that. It came out of a non-severe thunderstorm. There was no watches or warnings because the weather actually wasn't as severe at the time, but there certainly was some rotation and enough for this to touch down. So that constitutes the second tornado of the season for Alberta. Cremona looks a little unsettled for the next couple of days, starts to improve into next week, and Canada Day looks actually quite nice. Okay, let's go to Manitoba now. These clouds in Manitoba. Rainfall warnings remain in place, but as I said, there are no longer any severe thunderstorm watches or warnings. So some good news coming out of that, but we still have some lightning strikes we can see in the reds. Those are our thunderstorms just north of Winnipeg at this point. So despite the fact that the watches and warnings have come to an end, it doesn't necessarily mean that the actual storms have come to an end, but they're certainly dissipating at this point, not as severe as they were. But again, the problem with these is all the rain that's coming down with them. So there could be localized flooding, 60 to 90 millimeters in some cases, but we've got a couple of days of this unsettled weather. It's not over yet. Unfortunately, Saturday, more rain coming, Gimli included. It starts to dry out slowly for the weekend, but it was such a humid, sticky day in Manitoba on Friday. Temperature in Winnipeg, for example, was 30 degrees, and by Tuesday, by Canada Day, 15. That's the forecast high. 15 degrees. So that's 15 degrees, obviously cooler than what you saw on Friday and much less humid. And if you don't like the humidity, you're going to be actually quite relieved by that point. So there's another look at our radar. Okay, let's take a look at this video. News. But yes, you haven't been completely immune. It seems like you're in the middle of all the action in Alberta and Manitoba, but still a few thunderstorms and some rain too. There's our rainfall warning. So it really encompasses a massive area of Manitoba, all the big cities included, Portage, Brandon, Winnipeg, 30 to 60 plus. And it's hard when you get thunderstorms, you could see much more rain embedded in these convective cells. So if it's synoptic and the rain's just coming down, yeah, you may get 30 or 40 millimeters, and then you get a thunderstorm and boom, you can get another 30 in a minute, or not a minute, in half an hour, that kind of thing. Let's go to Vancouver. The good news is by Canada Day, you've got a pretty decent forecast. There's a slight risk of thunderstorms, incidentally, for Vancouver on Saturday. So we have some instability in the atmosphere, and that will continue through the weekend, drying out by Monday. Storm watch continues. It says, based on the video and photo footage, that yes, indeed, a tornado touched down, but it is a very preliminary report. They have not come out with any kind of strength for the tornado, so a rating for the tornado. Looks like an EF0, no damage done, and usually what they do is they check to see what kind of damage has been done in order to give the rating. So they said, funnel cloud, briefly touching down, yes, a tornado confirmed, nothing really to worry about. It didn't even come out of a severe thunderstorm. There were no watches, no warnings in place, but instability in the atmosphere. It was a coolish day, temperatures in the low 20s, and the kind of thing can happen. We do have the risk of non-severe thunderstorms for the most part through the overnight. And it's funny because we often say it is with severe thunderstorms that there's always the potential of a tornado. We don't usually say that with non-severe thunderstorms. We expect the funnel clouds, but not often do they touch down. This was one of the cases where it did. Lots of funnel clouds happening in Saskatchewan, Manitoba through the day on Friday as well. Here is the area of low pressure that is dumping all that rain in Manitoba. The watches and warnings have come to an end. That's the good news. We're still seeing a few thunderstorms, though. Not over yet. And certainly the rain is coming down. I got tweeted from Brandon a couple of pictures saying we need a boat. Yeah, no kidding. And it's not over yet. Look at the weekend across Manitoba. Not great. Southern Saskatchewan, you're into the rain as well. It's going to be unsettled in Alberta. So things are not quite brightening up until at least the end of the weekend into next week. Tuesday being Canada Day. We've got sunshine in Cremona, so that's good news. That means sunshine too for Calgary. Videos, it all helps the show. We really appreciate your info, especially when you live in, say, a smaller town where there's not a weather station and you take a picture. That's it's fantastic. Fantastic info for the rest of Canadians who are watching. Okay, so there are those thunderstorms moving north, so from the U.S. border and then up towards Winnipeg and through the city. So we've already seen the worst of it. But as mentioned, it's not over yet. Through the weekend, the rain will continue. Looks like through the Manitoba lakes as well, we're getting the thunderstorms as we speak. Wouldn't want to be out on the lake at this point in time, not with this kind of weather. And we have had some ponding and some road closures in southern Manitoba, by the way, because of rain or water on the roads, which we had anticipated with this torrential rain coming down. Okay, so we need Environment Canada to say for certain that a tornado hit. So just based on photo and video evidence, they have confirmed a tornado. Their summary was very preliminary, they say, and it looks like there was no damage done. This is the kind of tornado we like to see. Extremely weak, in the middle of a field somewhere, no damage. So it's likely an EF0. Didn't spawn from any kind of severe thunderstorm, but thunderstorms were in the area. There were no watches or warnings at the time, but the weather didn't seem to merit that kind of thing. And those funnel clouds touching down usually don't cause a lot of trouble. So that's good news, but still scary to see. Okay, so we have a trough in the area. That's represented by that red dotted line. So we do have more instability, more showers and thunderstorms coming your way through the weekend. Unfortunately, a lot of people really looking forward to this weekend. Despite the fact that Canada Day is on Tuesday, a lot of things go on the last weekend of June as we head into July. But look at this mess. So we do have rain and thunderstorms through the day on Saturday and Sunday, Manitoba, and then across into Saskatchewan as well. So yes, we don't have a great weekend ahead. It's not really until next week that things improve. So it's going to cool down in Cremona, but look at by Tuesday, by Canada Day, at least at this point, it's looking much better. 21 degrees, sunshine. A menacing sky, and especially if there's a watch or a warning in place, we want you to take cover, right? That's what you do. Severe thunderstorm watches and warnings were in place. They have now come to an end in Manitoba, but we still have rainfall warnings, so that's happening. The Interlake region, an immense amount of rain expected, the Red River Valley as well, and just north of Arden, the highway has been closed because of water over the highway, I believe, the 352. Okay, so this is what the radar looks like. Coming through Winnipeg, we had a nice little downpour there with that particular cell. And the rain continues, but it is improving a little bit through the overnight. So not as intense as it was. That's the good news. But look at this. These reds, those are showing that the rain is particularly heavy in that area, and that's a thunderstorm. So that's what's going on. Despite the fact there are no watches or warnings, you still have some thunderstorms around. Gimli's long-range forecast looks like this. A dramatic difference in temperature between what's happening currently and what you're about to see early next week. Temperatures drop by about 15 degrees by the time we get to Canada Day. But yes, a lot of puddles. In Saskatchewan, you've had some unsettled weather too, but things have improved in Saskatchewan for the most part. It was just along the border that we saw the active weather through Friday. But a lot of that has shifted east and will continue to shift east. Let me just show you a picture of what the rainfall warning looks like. Now, this little area here, not in it. That's just a blip. Ignore that. All of this, though, is in the rainfall warning. Most areas seeing up to 30 millimeters, but, and that's just for Friday, an additional 20, 30, 50 millimeters possible by Saturday. Depends on if you get a thunderstorm or not. If you get a thunderstorm, obviously, the rain comes down very quickly and all at once. So heavy rainfall on the way. This is what it looks like on the west coast. We have showers in the forecast and the potential for thunderstorms even in Vancouver for Saturday. We'll keep you posted. Stormwatch continues. For your of this, not severe. There were no watches or warnings because the actual thunderstorms were non-severe. Temperatures were in the low 20s, so it was not in the ingredients that you would normally assume, the heat and the humidity. The thing is, though, it is a tornado. As long as that funnel cloud touches down, there was no damage, according to EC. They have done a very preliminary summary at this point, so no rating on this, but likely an EF0. So it's not often that we get to these funnel clouds touching down in non-severe thunderstorms. Occasionally can happen, and that's what happened on Friday. So best case scenario as far as tornadoes are concerned. Okay, so we do have showers and thunderstorms in the forecast right through Saturday as well in Alberta, almost the same areas thanks to a trough, so a lot of instability. And then this big area of low pressure moving northward, it's going to sit and spin around right through the weekend, and sadly that means a lot of rain, localized flooding potentially, widespread rainfall warnings certainly, and before I get back to Manitoba, let's just take a look at Cremona's long-range forecast. So temperatures on the cool side, thunderstorms in the forecast Saturday, not really brightening up until next week. The good timing is that it's on Canada Day that we see sunshine and rainfall warning. We did have widespread thunderstorm watches and warnings, and we have seen our fair share of thunderstorms in Manitoba. Despite the fact that the watches and warnings have come to an end, it doesn't mean the thunderstorms have necessarily come to an end. So you may say, well, there's no warning, but I still hear the thunder, the rain's coming down. Yes, but the big thing with these storms is the rain. The torrential rain could be problematic, especially if you start hydroplaning. Driving in this stuff is not easy when it's coming down in buckets, and we could see most of that heavy rain through the Red River Valley, through the Interlake region of Manitoba, and the fact that it's over a couple of days is not helpful either. And we're going to see, I think, a few highways closed because, including the 352, because of water over the road, and that's what's been happening. Gimli's long-range forecast looks like this. So more thunderstorms Saturday, few more rain showers on Sunday, 60 pop on Monday, and then by Tuesday, temperatures way cooler, but more stability moving in. So we're looking at temperatures dropping by, ugh, that's a mess, right? And yeah, that's the kind of thing that can happen with the water main break. Beautiful sunny day in Georgetown. That was nothing to do with the rain, but yeah, so problem. Okay, so this is the radar, but I'm not seeing anything in particular on this one. Let's take a look at temperatures. I think that'll be the bigger story for Saturday. So we have temperatures in the high 20s. We have Humidex readings in the 30s. So much going on, including Pride. World Pride is happening in Toronto, and it's going to be very, very hot. The risk of thunderstorms away from the lakes for Saturday. It was one of those rare funnel clouds. We see funnel clouds in this kind of weather all the time, but they don't normally touch down. This one did. And due to that photo and video evidence, I'm assuming, Environment Canada has confirmed it as a tornado. They said, their summary said this is extremely preliminary. There was no damage done. And as a result of no damage being done, I think it's hard to rate these kinds of tornadoes, although I would think it would be at its weakest, perhaps an EF 0. Based on the fact there's no damage. Okay, or maybe there's just not an area to cause any damage, which is the perfect scenario, really. Non-severe thunderstorms, I mentioned that through the overnight. Let's talk about what could bring the weather. We've got two things going on in the west. This area of low pressure, that's what's dumping the rain and bringing those thunderstorms to Manitoba. And we've got a trough in Alberta. And that red dotted line is showing all the instability you're about to see over the next couple of days. Thunderstorms in the forecast yet again for Saturday. And you'll get a few breaks in Manitoba, but not many. Look at this, another system reaching up in through the Interlake region, spinning around that Saskatchewan-Manitoba border, and everywhere across the prairies, not getting a break, really, from the wet weather. And there's Cremona's long-range forecast. Looks like things will brighten up by next week. In Manitoba on Friday, they have come to an end, but not before producing some pretty decent storms and some pretty ominous-looking clouds. And, of course, if you are under a severe thunderstorm warning, you're advised to take cover. A watch basically means the ingredients are there for severe weather. A warning means it's time to get inside because it's coming. It's either happening or is imminent. That's the difference between a watch and a warning. If you need a little refresher, if you watch the Weather Network a lot, you already know that, right? Okay, so there's the system moving through. We still have a little bit of red on our radar showing the thunderstorms towards the lakes. Yes, it's going to be that kind of a night, but most of that heavier rain has come to an end for Winnipeg. It's come and gone. I've been getting some interesting tweets, pictures out of Brandon, for example. Someone mentioning that they need a boat because of all the wet weather. The 352, just 10 kilometers north of Arden, has been closed because of water on the road, and that's the kind of thing we expect with this weather. And there's your conditions for the next few days. You're going to notice a dramatic shift after that very soupy, humid air mass. You're back into the mid-teens by Tuesday. Vancouver on Saturday. So yeah, we could see some active weather. This is a look at the radar now. We have been seeing some wet weather. Vancouver dry at the moment. But yes, heavier rainfall expected. In the darker green, 30 to 60 millimeters. Western shores of Vancouver Island in there too. Tofino, for example. No surprise, 30 to 60 millimeters of rain expected for you. As we close out the month of June, lots of active weather. There's the risk of thunderstorms primarily in the BC interior. That was actually for Friday afternoon. This is your long-range forecast. This is what I want to mention to you. I'm going to jump all the way over to Ottawa for a second because Ottawa, so many people go there, obviously, on Canada Day. And it looks like there is potential for severe thunderstorms. So I know it's still early, but if you are one of these people going to be outdoors in Ottawa on Tuesday, please pay attention to the weather. Storm watch continues. But a big difference between temperatures in the eastern part of the province versus, say, Labrador. So St. John's, 9.4 millimeters of rain, 19 degrees. Let me do this again. 9.4 degrees. 19 millimeters of rain. That's what I meant. 27.8 degrees in Happy Valley Goose Bay. So look at that. What a difference an area of low pressure makes, right? Okay. And we had some fairly nice conditions over the Maritimes in general. Fredericton, Halifax, nice day. Toronto, Ottawa, beautiful weather. It's going to get hotter. That's the bigger deal, I think, in the Maritimes. That's the story. So there's the low that brought the cool weather and the rain. It moves away, still bringing some clouds to the Avalon, but things are going to improve across the east. In fact, we do have some sunshine in the forecast. Temperature's a little cool, but by the time we get to Monday, we are looking at 22 degrees. Okay, coming up, we are counting